Number 10. The Heresy Transcripts. In 1307, the Knights Templar were arrested and tortured on charges of heresy and being immoral. This was one of the biggest controversies of the medieval world and has been debated for centuries. The one responsible for the torturing of the Templar leaders was the King of France himself, King Philip IV. The exact happenings of the trials of the Knights Templar have been kept hidden in secret inside the Vatican's secret archive, and they detail exactly what happened to the Knights Templar and the truth behind their destruction. But while these transcripts have remained secret for hundreds of years, the Vatican recently released the transcripts of the heresy trials of the Knights Templar in limited edition volumes. The Vatican produced 800 copies of the collection in leather-bound documents. But don't worry, you'll never get your hands on one. They were bought up almost immediately by individual collectors, libraries, cultural organizations, and internationally famous people, according to the president of the publishing house that prints documents for the Vatican. Why do you think that is? It's all quite suspicious. But of course, it's easy to see why the documents would have been hidden from the public for so long. Historians all agree that by the early 1300s, the Knights Templar had become too rich and too powerful. The only way to put a stop to the secretive order was to throw allegations of corruption at them. And the only way for King Philip to settle his debts with the order was to simply quash them under these made-up allegations. Number 9. The first air machine blueprints. The blueprints for the world's first air machine are believed to be hidden inside of the Vatican. It seems awfully strange that the designs would be hidden for so long, but they were kept secret for centuries. The blueprints were created by a Brazilian-born inventor named Bartolomeu Lourenço de Gusmão in the 18th century. The inventor showed off the idea for his miraculous flying device to the King of Portugal in August of 1709. He used a paper balloon and a candle to demonstrate his idea for a hot air balloon, and it worked. He had plans to craft a massive machine called the passarola, which means bird in English. The machine would be filled with tubes and would look just like a giant bird, and it would use fire to fly across the world. Unfortunately, this was the 18th century. People in Portugal called the inventor a wizard. He became utterly terrified of the Spanish Inquisition and burned all of his documents, manuscripts, and ideas, then had to disguise himself and flee the country, where he died shortly later in 1724 without ever building his machine. But even after the inventor's death, the ideas behind his machine lived on. Some copies of his blueprints survived and were preserved and are believed to still be kept inside the Vatican itself. In fact, his flying machine was the inspiration for the first hot air balloon that took flight 74 years later, in 1783. Number 8. Three Secrets of Fatima. The Three Secrets of Fatima is a series of apocalyptic visions that were allegedly given to three Portuguese shepherds named Lucia Santos, Jacinta Marto, and Francisco Mato back in 1917. These three young children claimed that they were visited by the Virgin Mary herself. The apparition has since become known as Our Lady of Fatima. According to the children, the Virgin Mary bestowed upon them three secrets, but the secrets were not revealed until much later in 1941, at the request of the Bishop of Liera. The third secret was revealed in 1943. Lucia Santos wrote the third prophecy in a letter that was to be sealed and not read until 1960. It would not be until the year 2000 that Pope John Paul II released the secret to the world. Up until then, all three secrets were allegedly kept inside of the Vatican, the three handwritten prophecies penned by Lucia Santos herself. Yet, even after the third secret was revealed to the public, there were many who said the Pope was keeping parts of the secret hidden, and there have been many allegations that the truth of what Lucia Santos wrote on the notes is still heavily guarded by the Vatican. By now, you're probably wondering what the secrets were. The first secret was a vision of hell. The second secret was a prediction that the First World War would end and that another war would commence soon after. The third and most secretive of all the secrets pertained to the widespread persecution of Christians in the 20th century. However, there is still controversy to this day over what was truly written by Lucia Santos regarding the third secret. Number 7. The largest collection of adult videos. There have been rumors for a long time that the Vatican houses the largest collection of adult content in the entire world. This rumor actually dates back hundreds of years. Back in the Renaissance, people said that the Vatican held inappropriate drawings and vulgar relics. Then, in the modern age, the rumor persisted, with people saying that the largest collection of adult artifacts, films, pictures, and other paraphernalia is housed somewhere inside of a secret room in the Vatican. That sounds pretty bizarre and not likely true. What's the story? Evidently, all experts on the subject deny these claims to the end. Even Snopes fact-checked the allegations and declared the rumor 100% false. The Vatican museums hold some suggestive content, sure, but it all has historical value. There are over 1.5 million scholarly books and over 150,000 precious manuscripts in the Vatican, but probably not any explicit material. It's not clear where exactly the rumor came from or why people believe in it, but the rumors don't hold any merit. Even when Father Leonard Boyle retired from being the chief librarian of the Vatican Library in 1998, he denounced the rumor, claiming to have never discovered any proof of such blasphemous content inside the Vatican. Number 6. The Chinese Scroll. One of the strangest secrets hidden inside the Vatican is an old Chinese scroll from 1650. There are almost no documents from Asia inside the Vatican's immense archives, but this one is incredibly strange. The letter was written on silk by the Chinese Empress Dowager Wang, who had adopted the Christian name Helena. She was not just one of the only Chinese empresses, but also one of the only Catholic rulers of China. She had originally been converted to Catholicism by Jesuit priests. The letter she wrote was sent to Pope Innocent X and delivered inside of a bamboo tube, complete with the inscription of a black dragon. Apparently, the empress had been forced to flee her home by the ruthless Qing dynasty and had been appealing to the Pope for some kind of assistance. Alas, the Pope died before he could ever grant the empress an audience. If she had been given more attention, it's interesting to think about what kind of relationship the Vatican could have made with China, and how different the world could look right now. Number 5. The Damnation of Galileo. Galileo is still believed to be the father of modern science, and yet, over 350 years ago, the Roman Catholic Church held a trial for Galileo because they basically thought he was an evil magician. Galileo was the first man who spoke out that the Earth is in fact round, it is not flat, the world does not move from east to west, and that it is not the center of the universe. Galileo figured out that the Earth orbits the sun, but this was in direct conflict with the holy and divine scriptures, and it landed Galileo in hot water. In 1633, he was placed under investigation by Pope Urban VIII on suspected heresy. Galileo Galilei was forced to recant his claims that the Earth revolves around the sun under the express threat of torture. It was a huge step backwards for the progression of science and society. For 350 years, the trial transcripts were kept secreted inside of the Vatican. It wasn't until just recently that steps were taken by the Roman Catholic Church to publish all documents in the secret archives relating to the physicist's unfortunate condemnation. It took the Church nearly 4 centuries to basically admit that they were wrong, and Galileo wasn't really evil after all. However, the Church didn't do this for fun. They revealed the transcript as part of a plot to show the world that the things hidden inside their archives aren't secret or suspicious. Though, to be honest, the whole thing feels kinda weird. Like there are more secret documents they aren't showing us. Number 4. The Time Travel Machine. Believe it or not, some people claim that there is a time machine hidden inside the Vatican, known as the Chronovisor. A man named Father Pellegrino Ernetti apparently helped to create the Chronovisor, which he then used to observe with his own eyes the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Of course, this is a pretty far-out claim. There has never been any proof anywhere in the world that any kind of time travel device exists. And yet, the Chronovisor is supposed to give users the ability to see through the ages. The existence of this machine has never been proven, though the Vatican priest named Father Francois Bernet claimed in a 2002 book that he saw it for himself. The machine was apparently built in the 1960s with help from a team of scientists, including the former German scientist Wernher von Braun. Using this machine, the scientists were apparently able to see things that happened in the past, and this allowed select members of the church to look upon the real events of the Bible. The Chronovisor allegedly works like a television, allowing people to tune to a specific time and place. But of course, every mainstream scientist in the world has labeled the chronovisor as totally fake, and pretty much all the claims put forth by the former Vatican priests have been denounced. What do you think? Is time travel possible? Is a chronovisor something that we could have, even someday in the future? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Then remember to subscribe to Titanic if you haven't already to get the latest videos right when they come out. Number 3. Magic blood. One of the weirder things hidden inside of the Vatican is a vial of dried blood believed to belong to Saint Januarius. The vial contains the dried blood of the patron saint of Naples. And in 2015, at a cathedral in Naples, the Pope kissed the vial filled with the dried blood and it miraculously liquefied. This miraculous event was apparently a sign that Saint Januarius loved the Pope. The act was done in front of thousands of people inside the cathedral, and the Pope claimed that the blood was only partly liquefied, meaning that the saint probably only loved them halfway, and they all needed to work harder so that the saint could love them more. And yes, this is a real thing that happened and that people believe. The vial of blood is one of the most precious relics in the city. The saint had apparently averted a massive eruption from Mount Vesuvius through prayer in the 4th century. There's no scientific evidence to suggest that a vial of blood can hold any magical properties or in any way influence literally anything. But it's still a pretty big deal in the Catholic faith. Number 2. The Pope and the Holocaust. The Vatican and the Nazis have a pretty controversial history. During World War II, Pope Pius XII was leading the Catholic Church. Throughout the war, he remained completely silent while millions of Jews were being killed during the Holocaust. The refusal to condemn Germany during the war represented a shameful moral failing of the Catholic Church. Some have claimed that the Pope stayed out of the affairs of the Nazis because if Hitler had won the war, he would have wanted to become Hitler's Pope and save the Church. Some have gone so far as to claim that Pope Pius XII was actually Hitler's pawn. Well, all of the Pope's activities during wartime were documented, and they have been housed inside the Vatican's secret archives ever since World War II. Until just recently, these documents were forbidden to be viewed by anyone. However, in an attempt to save face, the Vatican decided to release some of the files for historians to examine. This proved to be an atrocious idea. According to the Smithsonian Magazine, the revealed documents proved that the Pope learned about Jews being murdered back in the fall of 1942. The documents also showed that church advisors dismissed the reports and called them exaggerated. Representatives of the church then lied to the United States government and said that the Vatican was unable to confirm whether Nazis were actually participating in these crimes. Basically, they covered it up. And sadly, this doesn't make the church look very good. Number 1. Secret tunnels. The Vatican may be the smallest country in the entire world, with a population of only 1,000 people and only 110 acres, but there are more secrets hidden within Vatican City than almost anywhere else on Earth. One of the biggest secrets is actually hidden in plain sight. It's a secret tunnel named the Passetto del Borgo, and it has been used for hundreds of years as an escape passageway by popes facing imminent danger. The secret tunnel runs about 2,600 feet along the old walls of the city and links Vatican Palace with Castel Sant'Angelo. It was completed in the late 1400s and used for the first time just 2 years after by Pope Alexander VI, when King Charles VIII of France invaded Vatican City. The most recent time that the secret tunnel was used was during the sack of Rome on May 6, 1527. Almost all of the Swiss Guard, who actually still protect Vatican City to this day, were slaughtered on the steps of St. Peter's Basilica, though they held off the invading force just long enough for Pope Clement VII to escape using the secret tunnel. Considering there is only one secret tunnel we know about, who knows how many other secret tunnels are beneath Vatican City, and where they might lead. What kind of relics do you think are hidden in the bottom of the Vatican? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and come back soon for another awesome video.